Our next speaker is Dr. Deepali Jaju, originally from India, but now in Oman, Muscat. She has a pre-recorded video. Let me tell you a little bit about Deepali. Deepali Jaju is a senior specialist in clinical physiology at the Sultan Qaboos University Hospital in Muscat, Oman, a recipient of the Young Investigators Award by the International Union of Physiological Sciences and a visiting fellowship by Indian National Science Academy for a study about left-handers. She has been one of the founder members and a trustee of the Association of Left-Handers India and has been actively working for its objectives. I request Deepali ji to please present her video, and then she will be online to discuss question and answers and discuss about her topic. So if you are able to play your video, you can share.
Yes, thank you, Deepali. And hi to everyone, and I will play my recorded video. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege to deliver some understanding in this world's second international online conference on left-handedness. I sincerely thank the Left-Handers Association of India for organizing this conference, and I'm proud to be part of it since its inception. In this presentation, I delve into an intriguing question: what is the origin of handedness and how the dichotomy of division of left and right-handedness happened in humans? Are there any biological or cultural roots, or is there an evolutionary background? Let's talk about this ongoing mystery surrounding this unique human trait. Disclaimer: this is not my research, and I'm a student of this subject. I'm sharing some thoughts investigated by other eminent researchers. The pictures are either from Google or from Microsoft Library. The presentation may appear a bit scientific, but I will try to simplify as much as I can. Here are the objectives of this presentation. So what is handedness? Handedness refers to the consistent preference for using one hand over the other for any task. Lateralization involves specialization of brain hemisphere, which plays a key role in handedness and other cognitive functions. Handedness and lateralizations are not same. Handedness is one of the expression of brain lateralization. We know that the hemisphere has a contralateral control over motor movements of the body. Motor activity of the left hand is controlled by the right hemisphere and vice versa. The same logic is applied for legs, eyes, and ears. Handedness has many types: left-hander, right-hander, mixed-hander, and ambidextrous. And it continues as left-legger, etc. Along with motor activity, other functions affected by hemisphere dominance are emotions, thinking, language, memory, and many other behavioral responses. Around 90% of the world's population is right-handed. However, prevalence varies across cultures and populations. Left-handedness is more in males than in females. The question is, how did handedness begin and what determines it? Is there a historical perspective, a genetic basis, or environmental influences? Or is it a combination of all? Let's begin with historical and evolutionary perspective. Homo sapiens, that means we humans, display a species-wide lateralized hand preference. Around 85 to 90% of individuals in all populations are right-handed. In contrast, no other ape species show such a strong and consistent population level handedness bias. This indicates that extremes of both direction and strength of manual laterality, meaning species-wide right-handedness, may have emerged after divergence from the last common ancestor. Laterality is also assessed in prehistoric artifacts. The right side bias are well established from the Neanderthal level onwards. Neanderthals are just 2 steps before Homo sapiens. Neanderthals went extinct 30,000 years ago, but the impact on humans is still there. This picture depicts Neanderthal. It is taken from the Australian Museum on Neanderthals. Some patchy evidence from older fossils and artifacts also indicate a preponderance of right-handed individuals, individual hand preference in society or at group level bias for skilled tool use and food processing is also seen in chimpanzees and some other apes. Comparing these findings with human ethological, that means behavioral data, on spontaneous hand use reveals that great ape clade, including humans, probably has a common effect at individual level in such a way that the person can vary from ambidextrous to completely lateralized depending on the action that he performs. However, there is no current theoretical model to explain this result. Observation of experimental and spontaneous hand actions in captive and wild subjects indicate that the non-human primates do not show a consistency in hand use patterns. So in conclusion, handedness probably began at the Neanderthal level and it still continues, and probably it became more prominent in humans because the complexity of action, what we perform with the hand, the complex actions, multiple actions, made it more visible as completely lateralized as either left-handed or right-handed. Human hand use patterns can be characterized as complementary role differentiation, CRD. It is a differentiation in a role of both hands. Both hands work complementary to each other. The degree of task complexity and bimanual complementarity have been proposed as factors affecting the strength of lateralization, either left or right. How dominant is the given hemisphere? See the picture. The task is very complex, what he is doing. Combined evidence from primatology and paleoanthropology suggests that species-level right-handedness may have emerged through the social transmission of increasingly complex bimanually differentiated tool-using activities. Practicing increasingly complex actions may differentiate humans from other apes. We do much complicated fine activities than the apes, like this crafting and art and writing. In humans at embryological level, in fetus, differentiation in the role of hand starts between 3 to 7 months of age, that is inside the uterus, and it gets well established by the age of 3 years of that child. Let's look at the genetic, neurological and developmental factors that may contribute to handedness. This might reveal the complexity of biological mechanisms behind handedness. There is a genetic basis for handedness. See, we are all the time talking about handedness and not left-handedness. Some propose that single gene is responsible for handedness. One theory is by the scientist Annett, and it is called right shift theory, and another one is by scientist McManus. These theories state that gene is not directly related to left versus right-handedness. Instead, it determines whether there is liability to right-handedness or no liability to right-handedness, or to either side. Please understand that it is a gene for handedness or cerebral dominance. It is not the gene for left-handedness. Others have also found gene for handedness measures. When handedness is measured with skill, it is on chromosome 7. Writing hand is linked to chromosome 12. The famous Edinburgh handedness inventory has linkage with chromosome 10. So you can see multiple genes and chromosomes are involved in this trait. This pattern is complex and not yet fully understood. Let's see what Annett wants to say. Annett says that preferred hand is more skilled and many people prefer different hand for different scale tasks. Hand preference was studied for several actions was studied in children, service recruits and undergraduates. Around 3 to 4% were consistent left-handers, 25 to 33% were mixed-handers, and 60 to 70% were consistent right-handers or pure right-handers. This is a mid-range. In non-humans, the corresponding proportions were about 25%, 50% and 25% pure right-handers. It's quite different. The issue of this mixed-handedness, those who can use both hands for different purposes, is usually swept under the carpet. Ambidextrality is very rare. Yes, it's about 3 ambidextrous per 1000 writers, but mixed-handedness is 100 times more common than that. In short, the causes of typical cerebral dominance could be independent of the causes of handedness. Cerebral dominance could influence handedness in favor of right hand. The right shift gene is often misunderstood for right-handedness. On the contrary, it is for typical cerebral dominance and probably originated in our hominid ancestors. How is handedness inherited? There is familial aggregation of left-handedness, meaning the parents having left-handedness would predispose children or offspring to become left-handed. But these genetic theories are inadequate to explain the formation of handedness. A study over 12,000 subjects reported that 76% of right-handers and 61% of left-handed subjects had no left-handed first-degree relatives. Based on data over 72,000 offspring, the prevalence of left-handed offspring was about only 26% given both parents are left-handers, or only 20% given one parent is right-handed and the other one is left-handed, and about only 10% given both parents are right-handed. Left-handedness could be more related to father being a non-right-hander. It is difficult to explain these results based on inheritance of handedness by Mendelian model. These observations also mean that many genes might influence handedness. It is complex and we do not know yet. There are certain factors associated with lateralization, but we cannot surely consider them as a cause of lateralization or as a cause of handedness. Let's look at them. Some prenatal and postnatal factors. Factors before and shortly after birth, meaning prenatal and postnatal, are likely to influence handedness of a person. These factors could be hormone exposure in fetal life, fetal positioning, presentation of the fetus during delivery, birth stress, maternal stress during pregnancy, season of the birth, prematurity, and breastfeeding. A study followed children from fetal life to their 15 years. It is mentioned that prenatal exposure to sex hormones was not associated with hand preference in either males or females. However, in females, exposure to high levels of prenatal testosterone was associated with weaker lateralization of hand skills. They don't say left-handed. High levels of prenatal estradiol, that is estrogen, were associated with weaker hand preference. High level of prenatal testosterone were also associated with increased task duration, that means slowness in the activity or hand speed for right and left hand of males. So again, results are not consistent. This increases the complexity of understanding of handedness. Handedness could also be related to the position of fetus in the uterus, more towards right side. So when fetus is on the right side, the left hand is open for the movements. But these are all associated factors and not the cause of left-handedness. Maternal stress during pregnancy is one of the theory, rather one of the strong theory of children being left-handed. Left-handedness at 5 years of age was almost 2 times more likely in infants who required resuscitation during delivery, that means birth stress. But another study contrasting this observation. Season also could be related. Birth in spring and winter could be associated with left-handedness. We all know the role of culture, stigmas, family habits, educational practices in handedness. But please understand that birth stress, season, and postnatal factors, these are all associated factors and not the cause of left-handedness. This is not the origin of left-handedness. Is handedness observed in fetus? See the picture. The fetus is sucking his left hand. Ultrasound studies suggest that the formation of handedness takes place prenatally. That means when fetus is in the womb. Right hand preference in the form of thumb sucking and arm movements occurs in fetuses at 10 weeks of gestational age. Prenatal thumb sucking observed by ultrasound has been related to head position preference in newborns and even handedness at age 10 to 12. The early formation of handedness is supported by these observations. However, these observations are predictors of hand preference and not the cause of handedness. Some studies have found increased left-handedness in twins and triplets compared to single pregnancies. Some speculate that the higher rate of left-handedness in twins and triplets results from their stressful pregnancy and traumatic delivery. Yet, even if stressors related to pregnancy or birth trauma account for some left-handedness, not all left-handers or not all left-handedness is of this pathological origin. Yokoshima conducted a larger study on handedness. He collected information on forced right-handedness in twins from 30,161 adults. He found that left-handedness is more common in twins 8.1%, triplets 7.1%, and in singleton pregnancies 5.8%. Whereas ambidextrousness was more common in triplets 6.4%. Ambidextrous subjects were more likely to become right-handed writers even if not forced to use their right hand so naturally. When we talk about genetic effect, it is always how much percent is genetic component and how much is the environmental component. Vyakoshima's study reveals an important aspect of handedness, that unique environmental effect account for most observed variance in handedness, both in childhood around 92 to 100% and in adulthood around 74 to 86% is because of environmental contribution. Although genetic variation is related to handedness, a remarkable proportion of variability in handedness is explained by the environmental effects. It is still unclear what environmental effects can cause selection of dominant hemisphere with relation to handedness. When forced right-handedness was taken into account in his study, estimates of familial effects, that means the family effect, increased. If we get more left-handed twins, which is very rare, the genetic effect may get explained well. Now both hands have specific role. During any activity, the trajectory control and visual feedback for movement is processed more accurately with preferred arm or the dominant hemisphere. And positional support and proprioceptive feedback is achieved better with non-preferred arm or non-dominant hemisphere. This specialization of arms is most likely based on anatomical differences of hemisphere in motor cortex or motor control. The pre-existing asymmetry in motor cortex, usually dominance of motor cortex in left hemisphere, could function as foundation of handedness. Both motor cortices have extensive interconnections. They are connected to each other. They also have experience-based potential for functional reorganization as required in the society because that part is dominant. So typically, the anatomical asymmetry would lead to increased practice of dominant hand, usually the right hand, and this further enhances the dexterity of the dominant hand. Living in a society which strongly favors the use of right hand also could encourage more use of right hand for trajectory and left hand for the positional support. This way, it may mask the potential genetic background for possible asymmetry of motor cortex towards left-handedness. While in society, which are flexible in terms of handedness, we have freedom. The individual experiences could lead to greater variation in handedness. So, in conclusion, one should differentiate between handedness and cerebral lateralization. They are different. There are consistent right-handers, consistent left-handers, mixed-handers, and ambidextrous. Evolutionary perspective, the right side bias is well established from the Neanderthal level onwards. The complexity of the task makes human to lateralize distinctly compared to apes and other non-humans. Genetic theories may explain handedness or cerebral dominance, but it does not explain left-handedness. A significant proportion of variability in handedness is explained by the environmental factors, some of which we have seen. So, handedness remains a captivating human enigma. We do not yet know the reason for left-handedness, but let's all celebrate being left-handed. We are unique. Thank you so much. Nice meeting everyone.
I think if there are any questions, we can take one or two of them. And if Deepali, you're available online, that's really good. I can ask one question if allowed by others. A simple question. When you say that it still is an enigma, first question, it's a combined question. Do we need to have one single cause or one single origin of handedness? And then also corollary to that is, are we left-handers due to different reasons, or could we be left-handers due to different reasons? Each one will be having a different reason to be a left-hander, but because we are using left hand prominently, we are clubbed together in one group. Are we diverse? Are we heterogeneous, or are we homogeneous?
You said one question and you asked many questions.
Yes, you can answer anyone.
Handedness, it is the reason for handedness in every person is very different, and we cannot come to it. Science doesn't know how to actually find out, predict handedness. So we are together because we are left-handed. We are together because we are right brain dominant, and each one of us has completely different talent, variability in our perspective, in our skills, in our intellect, but we are together because of one cause, and that one cause is being a left-handed makes it very difficult for us to survive, definitely on a technological side, writing and the same issues that we all know. So that puts us together. The behavioral patterns, the physical difficulties that we face, they put us together, and that's how we are homogeneous in that term.
Yes, thanks a lot. That's what my question. Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
No, go ahead, Bipin.
No, what I'm asking is, people try to label left-handers as either geniuses or super intelligents or creatives or messy or clumsy. So many other adjectives are there. Is it right? Is it logical? Is it proper to label them like that? Or are we as common or as diverse as all the right-handers are?
I think there should be no labels. We are being labeled only because the right-handers do not accept us. They find us very different. We are not like them. And because our proportion is very small, it becomes very evident that, oh, you are left-handed, you are messy, you are not able to do this. So that's why these labels come. But ideally, does it mean that the right-handers are not messy? They are not very intelligent. Are there no genius people in right-handers? Are there no schizophrenic in right-handers? There are. So why to label them? Why to label us? I don't think it's
Exactly.
needed.
So you
We are
that answer.
we are unique.
Yeah, yeah.
We are unique. We have our issues. We definitely have our issues. But that needs to be addressed and tackled rather than labeling, which will lead to negative connotation. That's not needed.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you for your very studied and meticulously prepared presentation, which will remain with
Thank you.
us forever, and we will definitely use it whenever and wherever we like.